and we put out a lot of information, and basically the goal for today is to see if there's any, specific reactions or observations from the team, the working group, on some of the materials that we launched. So between our last meeting and now, we drafted and launched our phase 1 of volume 2, which includes the public comment process for the project area map, and then grant guidelines. And then, of course, we included a draft template of our grant agreement. And so those are in draft form, so no decisions have been made except for the ones that NTIA does on our behalf. And so I just want to obviously thank my team and everybody who was involved in getting to this point. It is truly a sprint, and there's a lot more happening behind the scenes than just public comment, as we hurry to the finish line to open up our application, hopefully August 30th. The only way that wouldn't happen is if we needed a little bit more time for our application development, because that's a huge lift by OIT and the program staff. So with that, does anybody have any initial assessments or any observations or anything that you're hearing in your circles or you want to offer up as feedback for phase 1 of volume 2 so far?
Hey, Brandy, it's Jeff Weist. I imagine we don't have a lot of people on the call because they're probably all up there at Mountain Connect with you, which I was too. I've asked my members for specific feedback on all 3 of these things. We have another call on, I think it was just last Wednesday. They told me they're still working on it, and we're trying to decide whether or not we're going to file comments as a group or just individually. So I'm still working on it. And my members have also put together a list of some just clarifying questions around the final BEAD guidance. Obviously that's final, we know that, but just some questions that we'd like to have some clarity on. And I'm waiting for all my members to sign off on that as well. And as soon as that happens, I'll get them over to you and see if you can help us out. But that's what we're working on right now.
Great. Yeah, it's good to know, Jeff, that your members are working on it. And yeah, whether you consolidate all those comments and submit one or individually, we'll definitely take them, and we definitely really appreciate that feedback in advance of receiving it. On the BEAD general questions, like the guidelines, is it more NTIA guidance, or is it like just clarification on the grant guidelines, or NOFO, like anything specific that way, or is it just related to the public comment process?
I haven't looked at the questions for a little while, Brandy, so I don't remember. I don't have any specifics to give you, but they're like I said, clarifying questions about the final state plan or guidelines that you put out 6 weeks ago, whenever that was. They just, and in going through it, they just wanted to try to clarify a few things, and it's about 10 or so questions, and I think you'll be able to answer them relatively easily.
Great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, and I'll look forward to those questions as you send them on. One thing that's always an option too, Jeff, if you think it's worth it for your members or anybody else in the field, if we need to do any sort of webinar or anything like that, we can certainly schedule one specifically for groups of stakeholders as well. If because sometimes in writing, it's better to hear it in person, or not in person, but just verbally sometimes too. So we can schedule that. But I'll let you, you just let us know if that's something that would be helpful for you and team as well.
I appreciate that very much. I'll offer that.
Yeah, our goal here is just to, and BEAD is a very robust, complicated program. And, from our perspective, as much face time as we can get with people that need it to ensure that they can successfully apply is always worth the effort from our perspective, because it is super nuanced and it seems like it changes all the time. So, but yeah, just let us know. Eric, did you have something? You came off of mute.
Oh, I was just waiting till your conversation was complete. I'm on my way to Mountain Connect as well. I'm in Frisco now, so I was trying to beat the timing so I could get to where there's a good cell phone signal before our meeting started. But yeah, I think I've got solicited a little bit of feedback from area providers that work around my region, because really I want to get a perspective from them before we would make any governmental, even with respect to our local topology knowledge, any comments, because I really don't want to make anything. I don't want to make a move on a comment as far as the project area maps, especially and make them worse. I mean, they might be fine the way they are now. And if we make a local and regional comment that is actually contrary to the wishes of the providers, or just a de-incentivization of them taking advantage of the opportunities, and we would feel bad about that. So I'm trying to just in an information gathering stage right now. So far, what I've heard is that they probably want, obviously maximum levels of flexibility. But I think all of them know that the way that you're going to bundle those areas together will still have a component of trying to get these hardest to reach areas along with a denser project area as well in some way, shape, or form. I think just being cognizant of not only the capital builds, but the operational costs once they're in place. I know that's going to be a hard balance to strike, but I think that's all what they're concerned about, that if they can't effectively maintain operations, then that's always going to be bad for everybody involved. So I know it's a tall order, but as much as you can to keep that in mind when you're considering the comments and then grouping the project area map groups together is generally what I would hear from ISPs. Anyway, that's my initial comment, and I hope to get more feedback this week while I'm at Mountain Connect as well.
Yeah, that's great feedback. And yeah, I'm trying to move around this hallway. People are not talking, so I'm failing right now, so I apologize. Anyway, it's great feedback, Eric. I think in terms of whether to comment on the project area map or not, I think if you have feedback, you should. Ultimately, CBO will have to make the call, right? We're just kind of using this as an opportunity to ask what the market thinks, right? With the understanding that, it's an important source of feedback as we design our project area maps, to take into consideration, to your point, well, what are some of the OpEx issues, right? And CapEx issues. I mean, it's in the sustainability of the networks and pairing lower density with higher density to make it work. So, we've kind of done our first draft of it. And we decided to be pretty liberal in our accounting for project areas, because we didn't want to group too many, because we felt like, well, we want to hear from the market. And if we put a map out that everything's grouped, folks might feel like we already made up our mind. But this is truly us being really flexible and saying, hey, help us draw these project areas. So we've baked in a lot of flexibility in that first draft of the project area map. That's why we have roughly 20,000 groupings, 21,000 groupings that you can that you have at your disposal to help us group. So we're looking at that. We wanted to give some flexibility to that, because we know a lot of things at the CBO, but the markets, there's a lot of things in the market that we just aren't, we're just not exposed to, like some of the folks in the field. So we look forward to those comments. I'd encourage you to, regardless of what people think, you submit it. I know everything's subject to public comment, or open records, if you will, but I think, we this is your opportunity. And if, hopefully you take advantage of it, because after this, once we are done. There are no changes to the project area map. Zero, none. There's no flexibility. So this is your opportunity to weigh in and help us out. And so if you're looking at it from a regional perspective, or community by community or network by network, that's up to you all. But there's no draft 2.0 or 3.0 on this. We have such a tight schedule, and unfortunately, the schedule is pretty almost near impossible for a state government to pull off. So we don't have a lot of flexibility in our timeline. So I'd encourage you to make comments on it if you can, if you have comments, of course.
I definitely will. I'll try to gather as much information as I can before making. But yeah, those sound like good responses to me, Brandy, for what you guys are looking at.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, I know you're kind of like I feel like Region 9, Region 8, Region 10. All you guys are kind of like a regional. You just work really well regionally together. I don't know if you're, however you approach it. We look forward to hearing from that side of the state for sure, because the challenges in your area are very, very specific and unique to some degree as compared to other parts of the state. And I also feel like your side of the state, you guys are really engaged. So we hear really great feedback. So we would be disappointed if we didn't hear from your area, because you guys have a lot of really good ideas. So yeah, just let us know. And Megan's obviously, she's around if you need. She held a couple of, we've held 2 webinars so far on the map. So if we need to do another one, just let us know. We're happy to be on call for that type of support.
Absolutely.
So in other news, really great news for us in Colorado is the NTIA approved our challenge data. So that was the next biggest step in between us being able to launch our application. Because obviously we have to have that data finalized before you and others across Colorado make applications to the state. So, and just to give some context to it, how long we've been in the process, and it hasn't been overly long. I know some people, they have a lot of opinions on how long these things take, but I just kind of look at it like, well, it's a federal government. I've waited 3 years for a special use permit from the Forest Service to replace a dam that was already existing on a reservoir that they built. It's like there's different levels of waiting, and NTIA to me isn't the most egregious. But anyway, what I was gonna say is that step finalizes all the BSLs. So the BSLs that you are looking at on the project area map are all final. So they're not going to change, because we didn't get any additional requests for current curing of our data. So it all went through legal review and it's all approved. But we've been in this process since January. If you guys remember, we launched our challenge data, our challenge process portal. I believe it was January 7th, if my memory is accurate. It was like that second week or whatever, first week of January. We submitted our challenge data. We finished that like mid to late April. So we've been in the review and curing process really roughly since May. So about 3 months of working with the NTIA to finalize all that data. And so we're all ready to go. I didn't even have to nudge anybody this time, which I thought was really great, because I've had to tap a few people on the shoulders on the hill to move our stuff along, really politely, of course. But yeah, so we're off on that one, which is excellent. Yes, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, a question I had on that was, so the challenge data did include challenge on actual service, like served versus non-served from that era. So the maps of the addresses that were part of those challenges were accepted. They're currently shown as what you had submitted, or they will be changed to whatever you submitted. I didn't quite catch that.
Yeah. So they're not going to change. So the BSLs on our draft project area map, those are final.
Okay.
Because when we put that out for public comment, I think we had some sort of caveat somewhere with these are subject to approval by the NTIA. And so nothing changed between us opening it up for public comment versus what's been approved.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, these are snapshots in time. So, I know that mapping is very dynamic, and so are our industry partners. And you know, that it is what it is, and we have our number for what universal coverage is. And that's what we care about as a broadband office. Of course, we care about all the locations in Colorado that may be served or not served over time. But you know, this is our BEAD number, and we're pretty excited about that because at least that isn't a moving or shifting benchmark for us. Because I feel like sometimes with this program, the bar moves a little bit sometimes. So at least that one's dialed in. So yeah, Monday was a good day.
I would, if I wasn't driving, I'd give you a clap emoticon, but yeah, well, good job. I
Yeah,
felt like it was.
Thanks. Well, thank you. You can do a emoji or emojicon later or something. Maybe next month. Or maybe at this conference when you get here. Maybe you can give me a high five or something. Cool. So yeah, I think, you know, as far as BEAD goes, you know, and one of the things is I'll just toot our own horn because I don't think in government we do that enough, is, you know, between us and Louisiana and Kansas, we're the only ones in the nation that have our challenge data approved. So that is a key milestone because we are moving quickly because there's several reasons why. First of all, I want to make sure that we have as much access to labor and supplies in the supply chain as possible. I do believe that this program is going to get seriously bought over the next 12 months. We don't want to miss a construction season in Colorado because we all are aware what that looks like. And if everything stays on track, we'll be done with the BEAD process this year. We also want to make sure that we finish everything up before the next legislative cycle so that, you know, we can focus on other priorities without a lot of extra ideas around BEAD, because BEAD is a very prescriptive program. And, you know, we just want to keep moving it forward so that we can get broadband out the door. We can get jobs created in our state around broadband, and then supply chain, and then get these investments where they need to go as soon as possible. And so that's where we are. And then also we have an election that's coming up too. I'm not too worried about, that's more federal stuff, but you know, we're always kind of looking at these windows and stuff. So we just want to hurry up for Colorado, and get folks served and get our ISPs up and running so that they can be prepared for this windfall of funding. So those are biggies for us. But yeah, the beauty of being, you know, out in front is, you know, like, you know, you're kind of a trailblazer, but at the same time, you're like, well, being, you know, the top 2, top 3, it's like, there's really nobody to talk to in terms of best practices. So I say all that because as we move forward, you know, just show us some grace as there's no best practice to look to on some of this stuff. I mean, I was just talking to Louisiana today, and they're like, yep, we're just going to see how it goes. I'm like, all right, when can I check in with you? They're like, September, because I think they're opening up their application here in the next week or two. So between us and Kansas, Kansas is looking for a director, so I don't know how that's going to go for a short period of time. So anyway, yeah, so it's good. So we're moving quickly, writing the rules as we're moving. NTIA is feverishly putting out guidance based on how fast Louisiana and California and a handful of other states are moving. So there's still different iterations of this program that we're going to have to look at, different versions of it. But the NTIA did say that they are going to be pretty flexible for some of the earlier adopters because we're still trying to figure out some of this stuff. And we tried to be as flexible in volume 2 as possible, or as far as we could as much as we could get away with, I guess I should say. But yeah, the NTA has been a good partner, and we're moving quickly. So definitely holding the schedule. But the only thing that might trip up that schedule is just the development of our grant portal, because I don't want to. Quality is more important. So if we have to wait a week for it to be perfect, we will. So, but we'll let people know if that's the case. All right. I know this is a short group, but I actually thought about maybe canceling this, but I also didn't want to because I know we're in the middle of public comment. So I was really curious to see what your observations were and comments and so forth. So does anybody else have any initial reactions or assessments or honesty or kudos or anything for the order? Okay. So topics from the group. I know middle mile continues to be something that we talk about. Just a few updates there. We are working towards that program. We're looking at starting our to think about our hiring process for middle mile resources this month. And it takes a little while in the state to hire people, but we're in a serious hurry around that because we still have to figure out what we're doing there. But we do have some RFPs that we're looking at doing for middle mile. So basically the strategy, the assessment, the audit, knowing, and we talk in a lot of detail about the audit, like what does the state have? Where is it at? Who's using it? How much bandwidth? And so we're embarking on that with CDOT. And then one thing too, as well, just to update you all, the CBO and CDOT are working on jointly together on a webinar for permitting with the state, fiber leasing with the state. What's the process, how it works, how much it costs, what are the rates? I feel like there's depending on who you talk to at the state, maybe you get a different process or maybe there isn't one, worst case, which happens sometimes. So we wanted to get everybody on the same page of our industry and public sector partners on what does it take to go through CDOT process, and ask questions of it, because I know we have we have the alternative to the unsolicited proposal. So what does that mean for people and working with CDOT? So we're going to put on a joint webinar with them between now and when the application opens. We thought it was more important to do it before the application opens versus after the application, because a lot of the information that one might receive in that webinar will dictate what kind of costs they're going to carry into their application, and even just basic like network design. So we are going to do that between now and the end of the month. Hopefully I'll have a date here pretty soon, but the idea is to target before the application opens. So we think that'll be helpful. And we're still working with CDOT on our I don't know what I would call it, our Tiger team, where we talk about improving the process. So I know it's been slow going, but the state's a big government, so there's a lot to maneuver. So I appreciate your patience. We're working on it, but this year will be the year for starting to see a little bit of progress on the state figuring out what they're doing for middle mile. So, and it'll be a lot of public engagement on our plans around middle mile. So it's not just going to be CBO developing what we think is our vision, but what is the collective vision for middle mile in our state. We have a couple of models, but we have to make sure that what we're doing works for Colorado. What works for Arizona or Utah might be slightly different than what works for Colorado. So that's really important to us that we have a Colorado plan for middle mile. So that's coming maybe between now and the next time we talk. You might see some of those RFPs published. That's how quickly we're moving. So anyway, I'll stop there, see if anybody else has any comments. And if we end early, that's okay too.
I missed a little bit of it because it switched towers, but I caught about your progress in the middle mile, and we'll keep tabs on that as it progresses for sure. Brandy, I'm about to go to Eisenhower, and I don't remember if they made it so you can talk through that or not anymore. So if I drop off, that's why.
Yeah, I think you will. They used to have it where you could, and then it's not, and now it's pretty much dead zone. So if we don't, if you drop
that
off,
was the analog days. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going backwards in some ways, I guess, but yeah, sounds great. And I'll see you at Mountain Connect when I reconnect, you guys are done.
Yeah, we'll probably be done when you reconnect, but yeah, I appreciate that, Eric, and I'll see you when you get here. Okay. Have safe travels.
Thank
you. All right. Nathan, I saw that you joined us. Did you have any questions or anything? We were just kind of talking about any initial reactions or things that people are hearing around our launch of phase 1 of volume 2? Anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I also want to create some airspace for you.
Oh, absolutely. Nothing crazy. The only challenge that we've been having on our end is on just being the base level of project area maps being the census block, because we have a couple extremely challenging census blocks that, you serve 2 addresses on the other side of a mountain range that's part of the census block that has a few on the other side. So we're trying to figure out technological ways to actually connect a couple addresses here and there on some of these projects, but there's no way to group them differently. So we haven't really had any comments on the project area map from that perspective.
Yeah, we heard a little bit about that in the webinar, or the office hours, not the webinar that we had.
Mm-hmm.
The first one we got a lot. We had a really huge showing, a really big participation from everybody. But we've told people about that, because there are census block groups that, like, you have a cluster of BSLs, and there's 2 or 3 offshoots across the hill, down the berm, across the river, underneath the railroad bridge, right? It just really makes it really complicated. I'm slightly being funny, but but in that scenario, what we told the individual that asked us about it a couple weeks ago is, you can group census block groups to include those.
Yeah.
Because we're going to want to see that, because, right, we have this mandate of universal coverage for the universe that we've been approved today, because we got our challenge data approved away today, just, from the NTI, so we can start our process. But for those one-off locations, you're just, it's going to be mixed technology, right? It's going to be alternative technology. So, we're looking for providers to like, and especially when we start the grant application process, to propose like what they would do for those one-off locations, with the understanding that, you have to make sure you're building a sustainable network. So we're not opposed to a mixed, fiber
Right.
Alternative mix application. And that's the reality of it. We're not under any illusion that, it's going to be fiber to everywhere. Cause to your point, those locations aren't served for a reason. So
Yep.
we're looking for providers to do that. Some providers do kind of the hybrid mix of technology, others don't.
No, that's exactly what our clients are looking at too, is what kind of hybrid can they do for those types of addresses. And some of it involves, line of sight isn't necessary, or wireless doesn't work because there's a mountain in between, but no roads go the other way around. So it's just a matter of how we group things. I think we'll figure it out, but that was really the only comments we had. We thought it made sense.
Yeah. And there's space for, satellite too. It's just kind of, it's interesting to have the NTI kind of step up and be really, they've always been supportive, but I feel like they've even changed their messaging around it. Because when we first started down the path of BEAD, satellite was like, I don't want to say it was a hard no, but it was like, it felt like a no to me, but anyway, I do think it was, it's nice that they're changing their perspective on it too. Cause there's places in Colorado that just are never going to get fiber. It's just a reality. I hate to say it, but I do say it now, cause I feel more comfortable about saying it now that the NTA is like, yeah, that's right. So yeah, I think there's space for different solutions.
Mm-hmm.
Eric,
are you through the tunnel?
Yeah. It kept the connection. I couldn't hear everything, but oddly it didn't drop. But so maybe it's better than we remembered. But on that topic of satellite, I did hear one outlet. I can't remember who it was, and it doesn't matter. But they were expressing the concern about whether they were going to have to team with a satellite provider somehow to provide that as in response to if they did tackle the project area map and there were those particular addresses, like Nathan just mentioned, that that's a different entity. And so will it be more that those would be allocated to a low Earth orbit satellite, or that they would actually have to partner with a low Earth orbit satellite provider?
I mean, it really depends on how your application's structured, right? You know, you could do a partnership, you know, with the single applicant, or you could say, all right, I'm gonna, well, no, actually, well, I don't know. I guess I don't have a straight answer for you, but, um, you know, the partnerships are really great. I think it's an easier application. Um, because one thing is like if you have like a separate entity, and this is just an scenario, and I'm not saying this scenario will play out. And I'm not, you know, saying how we're like, I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not kind of jumping into scoring criteria around our applications yet because we don't have any. But like, for example, if you said, okay, we're not gonna do a partner, we'll just let this ISP know that, hey, you know, this is satellite, you can go do satellite, go do your own application. I think the challenge with that is, you know, is that single application going to be, are they going to score higher over like some other scenario? For example, like let's say you had an ISP that was like, yeah, I can get in there with fiber. And then you have an applicant that's like, no, I'm gonna do satellite. This is what it is, and I'm sort of partnering with this other group, but not really. We're gonna split off and do our own application. I will tell you in that scenario, if somebody comes in and says I can do these for fiber, you know, you're not, you know, I don't know if it scores that high, you know, and it kind of feels like it knocks out the satellite. So, you know, I think you're gonna have to structure your partnerships to put to put your best application forward and make sure you get the highest number of points. So that's where I would start. Not necessarily who's doing what, but like how do I get the most amount of score? How do I get the highest number of points for these areas? And then, you know, figure out those partners that are going to get you to the top of the scoring list in those areas. So that's kind of how I would do it. But, you know, again, I can't advise people. I think there's not a really like the formula for how this is going to be set up. We're kind of looking for industry to and our partners to put those applications for, make sure they score really high. Because if they don't score really high, you're kind of wasting your time, right? And money, because you know it takes a lot of money to put these applications together. So pick your partners wisely. Yep. Go ahead. Did you have something, Eric?
Oh, no. Other than I just like that's good. Good to know. I think even if it's not for me, I know there's some providers that listen to this on recording. So hopefully that philosophically gives you some direction of if they hadn't heard it on the webinars or asked us questions directly yet. So yeah, that makes sense to me, Brendan.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody else have any comments or anything? Okay. So, I guess our next meeting would be September. I still think it's really important for us to hold these monthly for now. I mean, I think we have a good cadence and a lot of activity in our broadband office right now. So, but a couple of different topics for next time is we can really take a deep dive in some of our public comments where we ended up with our project areas. When we do meet, our application will have opened. So for those that are, you know, really plugged into the memberships and regions and clients, what I would, you know, and workforce too, you know, what I would say is just, you know, you know, give us your initial thoughts and reactions to our application. Hopefully we can, well, yeah, it'll open up in August 30th, but yeah, so just give us, you know, keep your ear to the ground and let us know how it's going. Again, you know, our office, you know, we're pretty, we keep an open door, right? So, if there's something that just is not working, and hopefully that's not the case because we're really, really trying to make sure the software works. I mean, I felt like CPF was, extra hard. So let us know if there's something that's squirrely with anything that we've put out there. If you're hearing anything, if it's perfect, that's great too. You don't even have to tell us it's perfect, but if you're hearing anything that people are struggling with, just let us know. Yeah, and then we'll keep you updated on everything else, but also want to make sure if you guys have anything for us that you want to discuss, please let us know because this is a two-way conversation. So I don't want to just be a massive report out of what we're doing because I think you can get those in different formats. So if there's nothing else, we can go ahead and end early and reconvene in September. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in today, you guys, and thanks for all your help and support of the CBO. We're after 4 years of talking about BEAD, we're finally there. So it's really cool. It's exciting time. So it's going to be really, really challenging, but also very exciting for everybody that's involved in this program. So again, if you need anything, let us know. We're always here. And with that, we'll go ahead and wrap up and you guys enjoy the rest of your week. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks.